Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Never Mind the Buy Box. My name is Natalie Cromie, and I am the content director here at the Secret Wealth Project. And this evening, I am joined by Matthew Wright.
Hello.
Good evening, Matthew. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm for anyone who watches me a lot, I am the king of backdrops. We have a different backdrop today.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? You got in there and said it before I did. So literally every time I speak to Matthew, this is no exaggeration. There's always a different background, a different scene. Something's always different going on.
It's all filters. It's all fake.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one day I'm just kind of expecting Matthew to be like in a completely different country and not told us and be like, these are the pyramids of Giza, you know, kind of thing. Just doing like a whistle top tour of the world with your backgrounds. Thank you, Ruth. She says that you can see and hear us fine, which is good. I'm just going to jump in on my comments actually here as well. It's good. The notification has gone out. Please give us a like, a love. Drop us a comment in the comment box just to send out the notification to let everyone know that we are live. So hit that like button, hit that love button as many times as you can. Just say hello in the comments and let us know if you're excited about Q4, because it is literally
do you know what? I feel it started yesterday. I don't know about you. When the weather turned yesterday, yes. We had a massive sales day yesterday. Yeah. And I think yesterday was like the start of Q4.
Yeah, I think so. I think that, sorry, I was just checking that I'm logged in all right. I think that literally, you're right. The weather has gone from, you know, I joke on my personal Facebook page about, you know, because everyone knows, people that know me, people that have been following me for a while, people that I'm friends with personally, you know, I love Christmas. It's my favorite time of the year. So, you know, and I do go on about Christmas quite a bit, and I go a bit over the top with my decorations and my trees and everything. So there's always like this running joke with my friends that as soon as the sun goes in, I'm like thinking about Christmas. But to be honest, I'm thinking about Christmas way before then anyway. And you know what? It's not just because of Amazon. It's not because of Q4, because obviously when you sell on Amazon, you're always thinking about Q4. It's always somewhere in the back of your mind. Anyway, but my excuse is not even that. I literally think about Christmas all year round, about what I'm going to put on my tables, what I'm going to do this. I'm super sad. But now I literally feel it has gone from day to night. It almost feels like from day to night. The weather's changed overnight. It's got dark overnight. It's got cold overnight. Chippo said earlier on, I can't remember where she commented it. I think it was either in ESA or on the Facebook group. And she said, literally, I went to the shops earlier and they were dead. I mean, there's a lot going on at the moment. So I think, you know, we've gone into a little bit of Q4 come early, I think, because, you know, the whole country's in panic stage or panic mode a little bit at the moment. That's what it feels like. It feels like we've almost gone back into COVID-ness.
Yeah, I had a meeting last week with my managers and we discussed Black Friday promotions. Now we normally don't discuss kind of Christmas promotions until sort of after Halloween, you know, kind of that would be. But we've already planning Christmas marketing campaigns, because I feel that Christmas, the Q4 period, is going to be much more spread out this year with all the shortages, whether they're real or not. I think a lot of people are starting to buy now, and I think it will be a much more constant next 3 months rather than that kind of Black Friday to December rush. I think there will still be a rush, but I think what you'll find is you've had amazing sales in October and November rather than kind of like that big spike.
Yeah. I mean, I said it a couple of months ago now. I think November's going to be the big month for people. You know, people automatically think the dates fall very nicely for sales in December this year. I talked about it in our Q4 prep video. I talked about it with Luke last week as well, you know, and I think I talked about it with Matt another point. At another time, where the dates do fall nicely in December. It means we can maximize sales as much as possible right up until Christmas because of where the dates fall. But I think November is going to be the big month for people. I think this is going to be the month where records are going to get absolutely smashed. I've got
Broken.
no doubt about it whatsoever. November, normally, the advice that we sort of say, because one big question we always get asked is, well, when do I stop sending for, Q4 or whatever? And the answer is you never stop sending for Q4. But what I will say is this year, I think you need to have a good level of your seasonal selling stock in for November, for sure.
Yeah. And don't forget that post-Christmas rush as well, because a lot of people tend to forget. They think like the middle of December and then that's it. The Christmas is over. But no, there is a quiet spell, sort of kind of not so much with Amazon, because Amazon's got that prime factor, but certainly with the eBay side, you'll be busy right up until about the, say, 17th, 18th, depending on the days of December. Then it goes right down. But then what you notice is sort of the 26th, you'll have a massive spike right up until New Year's Eve, because everybody's sat at home, got nothing better to do, they've got money to spend. And I think especially this year, I think it's going to be a very much tale of two, because me and Eloise were discussing this. Eloise is my wife, anyone doesn't know. We personally, because of the business we're in, financially are doing quite well. It's a tale of two halves. I think some people have more money than they've ever had because they've not gone on holiday this year. They've not been anywhere. Certainly for the first half of the year, the most exciting thing that happened to them was they were getting the Domino's on a Friday night. So they've got all this spare money. I mean, some people, of course, are doing, unfortunately, not very well, and they've had a very difficult 2 years. But I think it's very much a tale of two halves. And those who have done okay, or are financially secure, or in stable jobs and haven't been affected by the pandemic, are probably going to spend, because they are, they've got all this money that they haven't spent on the fancy holidays, and people aren't buying cars because they're too expensive, and all these different big purchases. So I think it's going to be a big sales boom this year.
I agree. I think, yeah, absolutely. You're right. I mean, it's going to be 50-50. Furlough comes to an end this month for a lot of people. I did wonder if government would extend it a little bit, but it doesn't look like they're going to. No. I'm sure they would have made the announcement by now if they were going to do that. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a Q4 like no other. And I know it was a Q4 like no other last year, but one thing was for sure, we knew that it was going to be hugely busy Q4 last year because it was COVID. We were under restriction. Yeah. We were in lockdown. This year's going to be different. This is, I feel, a Q4 more for unknowns this year, for sure. Yeah. So I think, don't get me wrong, I still think it's going to be the best Q4 ever. That's not like a marketing plug. We don't, we don't say that just for effect. It's not like a clickbait thing. Genuinely, I do think it is going to be the best Q4 ever, as I demonstrated with the data. Because like I sometimes people think, well, why are they saying this? Well, if you didn't watch my Q4 prep video, never mind the buy box, from, I feel it was like 4 weeks ago now, 3 or 4 weeks ago, go on and take a look. And one of the first things that I did was showed the data. And, I'm a real data person as to why, I think it is going to be the best Q4 ever this year, because I just think it is. I think that people are still scared. I think, when the flu bugs kick in and, COVID, Brexit, shortages, nobody can drive anywhere, turkey or your Christmas tree, not going on holiday. I think there's so many compounding factors for sure. Let's just quickly, sorry, I've been really rude and not said hello to anyone tonight. Apologies. Good evening, Jane. Good evening, Rhonda. Simon is with us, Simon Andrews. Simon said on his Facebook earlier that unfortunately he's just been diagnosed with COVID. Diagnosed? That's not the right word, is it?
I was just thinking that sounds very serious.
I know.
I hope you're all right.
Not diagnosed, confirmed case of COVID. There we go. So I hope you're feeling better, Simon. Make sure you rest up, because I know quite a few people have had it lately, and it's, it is pretty nasty, even if you're double jabbed. So we hope you're feeling better. Evening, Cindy. Evening, Hanson. Sean, of course, says Q4 is going to be amazing. It wouldn't be never mind the buy box without Sean saying that. Sean says that in like March.
Q4 is coming.
You can always count on Sean to say that for sure. Mohammed's joined us from Pakistan. Good evening, Mohammed. I hope you're well. Sean said toys are selling already. They are. Do you know what? This is the thing I'm hearing the most. Yes, I know that declaration of conformities are a big pain in the bum, but I do think this year people, if you're overlooking toys, then you're potentially overlooking potential big profits, especially if you can do some sort of self-fulfillment yourself, merchant fulfilled, seller fulfilled, prime, something like that, where you can literally get in and get out and flip that money really quickly. I think that is absolutely a wonderful opportunity this Q4. Mike says hi. Sean says lockdown's coming. We'll have to wait and see on that one. I'm still skeptical. Sean and Matt Webley have been saying that for a really long time. What do you think? Do you think there's a lockdown coming? And let me know in the comments.
I'm not sure if they can. I think it would be the political suicide to say, because they've basically said, haven't they, in July, that we've got to live with it. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
For them then to go back on that word, even if it is potentially the most logical solution, I feel that the Tory party will just go, it's political suicide, we can't do it. So I don't think there will be a lockdown, but there may well be restrictions. And they'll be bringing in the 6 per table rule, they used to have. Those kind of restrictions. They'll put the masks back in. They'll be putting restrictions on how many people can go in shops, stopping busy crowds, discouraging public transport, kind of thing. I don't think they can go full lockdown, is my personal opinion. Well, they obviously can go full lockdown, but I think they would deem it to be political suicide, and it wouldn't work. I think restrictions are pretty certainty this Christmas, this winter. I think you'll be back on the masks. You'll be back in no more than 6 for your socialising, social distancing. But I don't think there'll be a full lockdown. Kids may be back at school. Not sure on that one.
Oh, wow. Do you know what? I just don't think there's going to be anything. I think possibly in areas of mass, mass infections, or the only thing that could mess us up is that if there's like a new variant or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing, I think. So, the conspiracist in many of us, I would say that's the only thing that potentially could happen if there is a new variant and, it's not affected by the vaccines and things like that. But, we have to prepare in terms from a business point of view. World's changed. Definitely. There's no doubt about it. And, everybody that shopped online during the pandemic on Amazon is going to continue to shop online on Amazon and eBay and, the various other retail channels. And I also think, and I've not said this before, actually, I also think that because we are seeing so many retailers, I posted it last night in the Secret Wealth Project, about John Lewis sort of saying, Christmas is not arriving until October the 18th in store. I think people are already gearing up as soon as this weather's changed, as soon as, even my friends, we live in Bournemouth. So everyone that lives down here in Bournemouth is like a sun worshipper. They love the beach. They love the sun. They love the summer, everything like that. Even my summer friends that love the sun are a bit like, yeah, Christmas is coming now. So I think the mindset shift has changed. And the stores that are not ready for it because John Lewis in particular, they're the big name that I can think of.
Yeah.
Obviously, Marks and Spencer's, these big kind of multi-chain stores haven't got the stock. And then Angela made a really great comment last night, again, I think on that thread, which said that she was talking to a store assistant in Boots, and Boots was saying, we have got the stock, but we haven't got the stock to put it out.
I heard the exact same thing. I was chatting to somebody in Currys the other day. They said, oh, the warehouse is full. Their regional warehouse is full, but they have got no drivers to deliver the stock. They said that they put an internal thing out where they're paying people like double time to go, and they're giving them accommodation money and all this kind of stuff. But I was just about to say on the COVID thing, I'm not worried about COVID this year. I'm worried about HGV drivers, because if you think all of your stuff that goes into Amazon FBA, yes, it's picked up by UPS, but then it goes onto a wagon, and that wagon then drives it to Amazon. If these wagons cannot get there, is all your stock going to be potentially sat in a container at the busiest time of the year? So I think what you said about self-fulfillment is incredibly important. Either make sure your stock is well in advance, and I mean now, get it in now, or make sure that if you don't think it's going to arrive for Christmas, that you've got some sort of self-fulfillment set up. Because I think if you rely on FBA in November, then you're in for an unfortunate time, and I think there'll be shortages. And I think also we could have restock limits again. That hasn't gone away. That's still, for me, is it's like a knife hanging over my head. It's is it going to drop, or is it going to be all right? I don't know.
Well, I think the biggest challenge that people are potentially going to face, which I've not heard anybody talking about yet, because obviously this HGV drivers has been going on for some time. But of course, we've seen the biggest reality of it. I mean, again, let us know in the comment. Who over the weekend, apart from Smug Matthew with his smug Tesla,
you should have seen my face when I drove past that petrol station queue. Oh, it was hilarious.
Apart from our friends with electric cars, I mean, who sat in a queue this weekend? Who actually sat in a queue? Because obviously this is real, and I know that there's all these. I was listening to the news this morning, and someone was on there saying, well, it's all very well the government saying there's enough fuel, don't panic, and only 1% of petrol stations is closed. Well, everyone I've driven around has been closed. So I feel it's one of those situations that it spiraled a lot quicker. And let's face it, here in the UK, we panic badly, worse, I think, than any other country in the world. We panic when there's snow, we panic when there's anything extreme, and I don't know how we're going to handle this Q4. I think it's one of these things from a consumer point of view. But yeah, absolutely. I think, we've seen the first taste of that reality. And what I don't think anybody's talking about yet, and what I'm going to throw out there is, if this is not your first Q4, you know exactly what I mean. If this is your Q4, then, kind of heed this as a warning a little bit, and, get prepared for this of what Matthew's just said. In the craziness in Q4, Amazon cannot physically take in the stock. So it sits in UPS trucks outside of the fulfillment centers, and it actually says that within the tracking. You can see that it's kind of sat outside, and it's like in limbo land. It's in transit essentially. And what no one's really talking about yet is the impact of having goods in transit for a really, really long time due to a combination of, the lack of HGV drivers, but then also potentially staff shortages from Amazon.
If COVID comes back, and flu,
Yeah, absolutely. So from my point of view, I'm going to say it now, but I don't want to freak anyone out, because it's something that, we're not going to know for a few weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that. Is that we do have to consider that at one point during Q4, the FBA might become a little bit untenable. And it's why you, like Matthew said, you're going to have to plan to get your stock in beforehand. But it always has consequences. It has knock-on effects, that if stock is being drip fed in, less chance of price tanking, all of these different types of things. That's why I said at the very, very start of this is going to be the unknown Q4. Kind of all bets are off a little bit. The demand will be there. There's no doubt about that. But it's whether the supply chain works.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if it's going to work. Which is why we're fortunate. We're well prepared from a self-fulfillment side, because we took massive advantage when the Amazon stopped, in April last year, when the COVID hit, and they said no non-essential goods. We actually had our most profitable ever month for April, and it's still on record as the most profitable month ever because we had all the stock, we had all the systems, we had everything in place, and we were just ready to take advantage, and nobody else had the stock, so we just switched. All we did was just change everything from FBA to FBM, and put the price up because we could. I think what you'll find is that you will get less sales in terms of less units because it'll be harder to get your stock in. But the stuff you do sell, you probably get higher prices for this Q4. Because there is general shortages of most things anyway, and the people will be struggling from the fulfillment side getting it in. So you'll be able to almost ask what price you want for some of the stuff. I think anybody who's reducing the prices now is absolutely mad.
Bonkers, absolutely bonkers. And I fully expect, and I know that price tanking is quite bad at the moment, which we normally expect at this time of year. It's always darkest before the dawn in terms of Q4. So, but I feel this year in particular, the prices will start to recover. And you know what? If I was going to swear then, if the lemmings want to sell out, just let them sell out. Just watch themselves. Watch them throw themselves over the cliff, but don't follow them down. Not talking about price fixing or telling everyone how to price their products or anything like that, of course. But what I'm saying is we are coming into a supply and demand Christmas. Now, I'm not saying scalp. I'm not saying be a scalper in the sense that if you know something normally sells for 20 quid, sell it for 50 quid. What you choose to do, it is entirely up to you. Personally, I've never been a scalper. I want a fair price for the service that we, supply, which is obviously receiving the goods, checking they're all right, packing them up, sending them in, what we do for, in order for the goods for the customer to order and for them to arrive the next day. I feel that there's a premium that should be paid for that service. There's no doubt about it, but not a scalper. So, I'm not one of these that will sell it for, 3, 4, 5, 6 times its value or something like that. But I know that is some people's business model. So there's no judgment here. I'm just saying not something I do. Paul says, hello. Simon says, thanks, Nat. In bed with you all tonight. Oh, late night love on Never mind the buy box. Thank you for spending your bedtime with us for sure. Sean said it hasn't stopped Australia in part 3 lockdown. Yeah, I know. I don't even know what's going on in Australia. That's weird. Luke Roberts has joined us. Evening. Chepo's joined us as well. Hello. I was talking about you a minute ago. All good, obviously. So I think Sean was saying about the petrol gotten early. It's I knew people would queue up later. I actually got mine really early Friday morning. And for once, I actually really genuinely needed full. I did fill up my tank, which I probably shouldn't have done because I hardly do any miles. We walk to everything's kind of walking distance from where we are. I don't drive a lot of miles. So a tank of petrol will last me until like Christmas. But I literally had like a few miles left and I had to go on a relatively long journey. So why am I justifying it? But that was before.
Do you think the fuel crisis will resolve itself by next week because everybody will have filled up their tanks and therefore they won't need to fuel up? I know there will be genuine people who use the fuel and need the fuel, but there's a lot. I think there's a lot of people who are like half tankers who went because they were worried. And they didn't actually need the fuel, but they went because they were worried. So therefore, they'll have a full tank by next week because they only go 3 miles a week to the shops. Kind of people.
Absolutely. If my dad, God rest his soul, had been alive now, he would have been the first one queuing up at Sainsbury's, even though he does. They used to do like 3 miles a week or something like that. When you're slightly older, you panic and you get in. And I get that, But my argument is, how can this issue be resolved next week? Because the issue is there's not any fuel. There's plenty of fuel, but it's a lack of drivers. Well, I know the government is putting certain things in place and things like that, but the argument doesn't really stack up. How can it be sorted from now until next week? You can't employ 50,000 HGV drivers in that period of time. And I don't know, maybe I've overthought it, but a brand new HGV driver driving a tanker full of petrol, That sounds like a bit of a
Wow, that
disaster.
sounds a recipe for disaster because tanker drivers generally is one of the most dangerous jobs, isn't it? If you think about
I would have thought so.
driving a
Yeah.
16,000 liters of flammable liquid
Yeah, it's like you're
already
driving
on
a
top of
bomb.
a dangerous job. So yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
surprised. It's a
exactly.
shortage of drivers.
Yeah, so I don't understand how that's going to be fixed next week. And then obviously HGV, they're the drivers, they're the backbone of the country at the end of the day. They will keep the country moving. So if fuel's one thing, I think it's fuel next week, and I think it'll be something else next week. And then
Yeah,
I think it'll be something else the week after that. So I think we're just in for a massive, huge,
the media are causing this. We've said that we're going to. I said
and we're
I said
talking
to
about it.
Yeah, I said to my staff, I'm going to start a media outlet and just post all these imaginary shortages so that we can sell all our products that we've got in stock.
Yeah,
That's my
absolutely.
goal for the next month.
Yeah, for sure. Anybody's got any slow sellers, put up that there's a shortage of them.
Oh, they'll be gone in no time. They'll be queuing
Yeah,
around the block.
exactly. Start a rumor, and the rumor will always go for sure. Sam says, sorry, I had to bite the bullet with 15 miles left in the tank, work commitments. Yeah, mine was the same. I literally had 14 miles left, and I had to do, I had to fill it up for sure. That's funny. It's so true. Luke says, "Oh my God, is that a snowflake? Buy all the milk and bread ASAP."
Yeah, literally.
Definitely for sure. Sean says, "Will be worth holding on to prices." Yeah. Do you know what? This is one of the main things that I really, really wanted to come across tonight, and Matthew's already picked up on it, and the fact that, and we're definitely not advising people how to, fix their pricing or do this or do that. But genuinely, I do think that if you are selling goods below, certainly a loss or anything like that, you're absolutely nuts, because, there is these shortages at the moment. Demand is only going to increase. And you guys, everybody that's watching this, everybody that will watch this over the coming weeks, we do this business for profit, not to make losses or anything like that whatsoever. So there's no point anybody selling for loss during this period of time, needs a little bit of a reality check, as far as I'm concerned. That's a busy one tonight. Loads of people jumping on this. We've got loads of YouTube.
Everyone loves a Q4 convo. That's why.
Your chat, absolutely. I'm ignoring our YouTube viewers. So Nick Kirk has said compulsory mask in public places again would be good. HGV drivers shortage and COVID still causing problem with supplier orders. One of my best-selling products has been delisted due to COVID. When you say delisted, what do you mean? Delisted because of, like a restriction, or is it because you can't get
the
hold of
supply.
it? Yeah, let us know, because that'll be interesting to see what people are saying for sure. Hayden's joined us. Evening, Hayden. Says, nice to see you, Matthew. Yes, it is very nice to see you, Matthew, definitely. But I wanted to get you on. Any questions, obviously, for Matthew, let us know, because, Matthew, you're not only just Amazon guru, eBay guru.
eBay.
There you go. That's a new one. eBay guru. Self-fulfillment. You own a warehouse. You've got oodles of staff, multi-7-figure business.
Big Shopify push.
Shopify, absolutely. So you've got.
Can I share a milestone with you? So we launched our website this time last year. We had our 10,000th order last week. So I was quite proud about that.
Yeah, that's
10,000
awesome.
orders in a year. So it was a good achievement. I'm really proud of the team for that.
And to go for, a year to 10,000 orders on Shopify, that's absolutely phenomenal. That's absolutely crazy, because obviously I think sometimes, especially for the folks that are, just selling on Amazon, which I know is, when I say just selling, I know it keeps us more than busy, obviously, guys. But when you start a Shopify store or anything that's not on a third-party marketplace, you are responsible for driving all the traffic, for your own marketing, for everything like that whatsoever. It's a blank slate. So, to go from that in a year is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I'll tell you one thing that I've learned from Shopify is I have a massive appreciation. People think the fees on Amazon and eBay are very unreasonable, but when you actually have to pay for your own traffic, and you think about the traffic that eBay in particular gives you for that money, then it's a bargain. Honestly, it's a bargain.
Yeah, because pay-per-click advertising, certainly through the different, what can I ask, what outside traffic sources you use? Presumably social media.
Yeah, so the Google Shopping is our biggest traffic driver, having
Oh,
products
wow.
advertised on Google Shopping. That's our biggest traffic driver. Then we also run general awareness ads on Facebook. So the adverts on Facebook are not product specific. They're just like general, like category adverts, like rolling carousel adverts. We also I employ somebody who posts every day on Instagram and Facebook. It's very difficult to tell if that actually makes any money, but certainly it engages us. I don't
Yeah.
know whether that's good. Anyone who follows, who's got my friend on Facebook, I am starting a YouTube channel as well. It's a bit of fun for me, but also with the intention of driving some traffic to our website as well, because I know that's a very big traffic driving source. So yeah, but I would say Google Shopping and Facebook ads is our biggest two traffic drivers. We don't actually do anything else at the moment. There's a lot of things we're looking to try in terms of like blogs and sponsors and referral links and stuff like that. But yeah, we're just kind of playing around with it at the minute. But what we've done seems to be working. So I'm a bit scared to change it because I don't want to divert money away from Google to something that's not going to work and then the sales go down. So, but yeah, Google ads, Google Shopping, Google ads, and Facebook are our biggest traffic drivers.
Absolutely. And what has the percentage, presumably when you first started, like literally 100% of your conversion was coming through paid traffic? Do you know what the difference is now? Do you attract more organic kind of searching, or is it still quite heavily reliant on paid searching?
It's very heavy because of what we sell, because we're resellers. We don't own our own products, so we're very much product driven marketing. People buy it from us and then they unfortunately don't come back, but it's because of what the products we sell. Like if we sell a pair of headphones, you're not going to come back next week and buy another pair of headphones. Maybe you might refer somebody, but you've got what you need in your first purchase.
Right.
So some brands, people come back and back and back. I mean, I like to hope that customers will still come back to us because they've had a good experience, but they'll probably come back for a different product or a related product. They won't necessarily come back. If you're selling, I don't know, candles, people might buy a candle every week. Then there's much more kind of. So I think what we have to do is we do have to pay a lot for our traffic, but we've worked quite well to get the cost down and the conversion rate. We've worked more on converting the traffic we have. We spent more money on trying to convert it, and we like heat map the website and make the website as good as it can be from a development perspective. So we focus more on converting the traffic we have than actually driving the traffic to us. We actually spend, I think, very little on Google ads. We only spend £1,300 a month on Google ads, and we convert about 5% of sales. So I think we've done quite well on that.
That's pretty good. That's a very good conversion.
It is. Yeah.
Website. Yeah, definitely. And do you think that obviously the website is, I didn't intend to talk about the Shopify website.
No, I've gone totally off piece there.
Yeah, no, I know. But I know that certainly for this audience and the people that are watching now, that, at some point, people will start thinking about, okay, maybe I want to have my own website. And I know we've got a couple of comments here. Hanson said, is it arbitrage on Shopify? But you said you're a reseller. So, they're not even your own products, No,
we don't have. That is a goal of mine, is to launch my own private label product. But with everything going on, it's always one of them would be nice one day, maybe kind of things at the minute. But I would like to do that.
It would be nice when the shipping container prices reduced down by about 8-fold, because they're up to about 10-fold now. So
it doesn't even seem a good. Yeah, that's what I mean. It doesn't seem a good time to do it. There's a lot of issues. We're doing very well out of the retail we're doing. And I don't think long term the retail is going to be as profitable for us as it is at the moment. So it's kind of the strategy is to maximize the retail side, the arbitrage side, the wholesale side. Then when those streams dry up, which they will, because it's just the way the business is going, then we'll focus on the private label, which will hopefully keep the business going from a longer term perspective.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Simon says, what are your social media handles? But you haven't set them up yet. But don't worry, we will share them.
Yeah, I'll share them in the comments. I don't know if I can post actually, can I, from here anyway? I'll share them with you later. I'll put them as a comment at the end of the thing. So you can all buy from me.
Yeah, don't ask me like a technology question because I definitely won't know the answer for sure. Lots of congratulations. Yeah, amazing achievement. And, testament to the fact that, I mean, guys, I'm sure you would have heard Matthew's story by now. We've talked about it quite a few times, when Matthew's been on the live, and this all fueled from the fact that Amazon suspended you a few years ago over Q4. And, that's when you diversified into eBay, and then you diversified into Shopify, and you're always looking for diversification opportunities.
Yeah, related. I just don't want to be too off piece.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. I'm a bit frustrated as well at myself because I bought the website domain in 2014, and at the time I said I'm going to start a website because everyone who sells on Amazon has them days where you think, why on earth am I selling on Amazon? It's awful. It's rubbish. And I did, and I mean, we only started it last year when I thought, I really need to get this going now. But I do wish I'd started it years ago because I couldn't. If we've done 10,000 in a year, imagine what we could have done if we'd started it 6-7 years ago. Could have been massive. So I am a little bit frustrated, but obviously you can't dwell on the past. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. But what I would say to you is if you are thinking about doing it, then do it because time's only going to pass you by. You're not going to get it back.
Absolutely. Evening, Adaronke. Hope you're well. So Nick said the manufacturer of a big brand grocery product has delisted one of their products due to COVID restrictions in their manufacturing plant, which I believe is in Poland, right? So they've shut down operations
because of COVID.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm sure that you've already thought of this, Nick, but obviously if that was me, I'd be looking at who the closest competitors of that particular product are, reaching out, saying that, making a cheeky contact if they're still running and saying, being completely honest, saying, look, my manufacturer, I was buying this product from this, they've shut down because of COVID. I'm looking to, cover the units that I want to buy somewhere else. Can I buy from you on this basis? And it's a good excuse to reach out to other people, but certainly looking at the competition, because if there is a certain demand for the product and that supply has dried up, then they will be looking at the closest competition related to that product. So that's certainly what I would do anyway.
Yeah, agreed. And you could always try and say to them that you're getting it cheaper than you were to get a bit of cheeky discount. That's what I'd be doing.
Whether that one will work, but you don't.
Well, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Absolutely not. And I think that's the thing. I'd be interested actually to see what the negotiations are like with some wholesalers at the moment, knowing that the precarious year that a lot of wholesalers has had, trade shows not being open. I know some of them are open, obviously, because I know Autumn Fair did go ahead this year. And, some of the other ones around that time. But it'd be interesting to see what's kind of coming out of the wholesalers at the moment, because obviously people might have placed big wholesale orders that can't be delivered, all these different types of things. So I think reaching out to wholesalers is a really good opportunity at the moment, especially if you're local, if you can go and pick stock up. There are retail wholesalers in every town, in every city in the country. So I would look locally, maybe reach out to them, and because like I said, if they're not able to deliver, but you can go and maybe pick the stock up or something like that, there's definitely going to be good opportunities for people that are prepared to look for them this Q4. That's what I think anyway.
Yeah. I would say from my side, I've noticed wholesale prices are creeping up already. So this is why I think when I've been on in the past, I've said, buy now, because the prices are going up and the wholesalers are catching on to it and the prices are creeping up. Stuff that I was buying in June, July is now £1-2 more expensive, but that's part of your margin. I mean, the sell price is obviously going to go up as well, but if you can buy now in September and hold it till Christmas, then you're going to have got some really big margins, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know we've joked about it on, because Matthew's running his eBay course as well at the moment, which we do on a Wednesday night for anyone that's in that group. And we've sort of seen the evidence of your warehouses are kind of stacked to the rafters, essentially. Has it gone down a bit? Are you starting to get through some of the stock, or, are you still in receiving mode? Are you still placing orders? What's kind of happening with you?
I'm still buying. I am still buying, but I'll be honest. My staff have said to me, "Enough's enough now. We can't cope." Is the honest answer. And when you walk around and it's like they can't move, and But the problem is as well, it doesn't make financial sense, because there's no point in buying stuff that they can't sell because they haven't got enough manpower or enough space or to store it or work it. That's just silly, isn't it? That's not good business, buying stuff that's just sitting on the shelf. So there is a point where you have to kind of cut it off. But yeah, we are well stocked for Christmas, put it that way.
Well stocked for Christmas. And what is your strategy in terms of fulfillment? I know we spoke about this at the start, and this is when I actually intended to ask this question. But what is the strategy with regards to fulfillment? How much this year do you see your business changing in percentages for stuff that will be sent into Amazon versus what you're going to be fulfilling yourself direct to customers?
So I don't think the percentages of the sales will actually change, but what is a massive difference for us is, for example, if I buy 100 units of a product from a wholesaler, traditionally we would have, let's say we allocate that stock 50-50 between Shopify, eBay and Amazon, because Amazon is still our biggest platform. So let's say the 50 units that we would send to Amazon, we would send all 50 units into Amazon. And that would be that, and we'd sit and we'd accept the storage and we'd sell through, even if it was more than 3 months supply. Now what we're doing is we're doing 10 units of a product a week. So we'd send 10 in this week, and then if they sell, we send another 10 in. And we're holding back a lot more stock, so that if Amazon says, we can't accept delivery, well, we'll just go, well, we'll just increase the quantity. Well, what we do we actually have the whole quantity on Shopify. So we know it is 100% available for sale, because I don't want to be in a situation where I've got stock sat in containers that I can't sell because of Amazon. So we are drip feeding stock into Amazon, few units a week of a product, rather than sending the 50 in like we would ordinarily.
Mm-hmm. How much has what's happened this year in terms of restock limits, everything that we knew that was going to be coming with Q4, how much has that restricted, if any, your growth this year in terms of the business? I know previously you spoke about this year wasn't going to be a turnover growth for you, but you were kind of concentrate on profit margin and things like that. But even with two warehouses, 10 staff, there does come to a point where you've got to decide, right, okay, I need to push the profit, or I need to push the turnover in terms to fuel the growth of the business.
Yeah. So we're very much on a profit.
There was a question in there somewhere.
Yeah. No, we're very much on a profit focus this year. In the previous years, we've been very much on a sales growth. For the sort of 2018, particularly 2019 was a massive turnover year. 2020, obviously, COVID hit. I think for me, Brexit had a massive impact on my business. And had Brexit not happened, I think we would have still massively increased the turnover. Brexit used to make us a lot of profit, pounds and pence profit, because we sold our goods at higher prices in Europe, and the costs were relatively similar. So that has impacted our profitability. So this year we have focused a lot more on, reducing costs, streamlining the business, improving processes. So we said we're not going to focus necessarily on the top line, because at the end of the day, the top line's irrelevant. Everyone's impressed when someone says they make £100 million in sales, but if you only make £5 profit, what's the point? And I think I personally got to a bit of that. 2019, we increased the sales, but we didn't increase profitability on the previous year. And we were kind of just like, what's the point? Because more sales just equals more costs. That's the only certainty in more sales. So it's very, you've got to be very careful when you grow your business to make sure that you do actually increase your profitability relative, because it can be kind of disjointed where, your sales are going up, but also your costs are going up. and your workload's going up and your stress is going up because you've got, more bills, more debt, more sales, more issues, more customers, and you're actually making no more money. And I think for many people, as it was for myself, a bit of a wake-up call in 2020. And I thought, do I actually want to grow the business in terms of turnover to be this massive enterprise, or do I actually want to, make sure that I am making a really good bottom line where we've got resilience in the business, in the margins, because it's a very shaky place to be if you're only working on 10% margins and something comes at you out of your control, especially when you sell on platforms. That can wipe you out as a business because you just haven't got the profitability to maintain yourself. So we definitely very much focused on higher value products with kind of less working time for staff members, which made us essentially make more profit per sale, and by having higher value units as well, because Amazon obviously limits you on units, it doesn't limit you on value. We were able to effectively get around the restock limits by sending in higher value units that make more pounds and pence profit than sending in lower value units.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been talking about this a lot, I know, in the eBay group and also in ESA recently as well, because when we talk about arbitrage traditionally, most people deal in ROI. What ROI? Yeah. 30%, 40% ROI. Selling what you sell in the way that you sell it, wholesale, and also, some of the things that we do with unique bundles and, on the higher margin stuff kind of thing. You forget kind of more about margins and you start focusing on monetary profit more than anything else. And that becomes, a lot more important. It's only really arbitrage that I can think of that people talk in terms of ROI. Even on private label, people talk more. They do talk about margins, but they talk about margins. They don't talk about ROI. It's only really the ROI. Maybe it's because it is just that buy, sell model. There's no advertising, not as much advertising and costs and everything as involved as there is in some of the other type of models. I'm not sure. But yeah, when you move away from arbitrage, you don't really talk about that as much. It's definitely more about the monetary kind of products that you talk about. And what I found really interesting there was you said, and I'm going to steal this actually, because it was, it just sort of like the light went off in my head when you said this, is the only thing that is guaranteed with more sales is more cost. That is so true.
Yeah.
You're not.
I came to that realization in 2019 when I sat down with my accountant, and as you do, and you look and you think, well, my turnover has grown 30%, but then your bottom line's not improved. You've made the same. You still made a good profit, but you think, I did all that extra work. I employed all them extra people. I had all them extra storage. I had all that extra work, and it just was just more cost, more sales, and it kind of really hit me. And I thought, I'm in it to make profit. I'm not in it to make sales.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think that's a good lesson for people. And I think it's certainly one that everybody goes through at certain points in their Amazon selling journey where they realize, whether or not they've gone into different areas, looked at different things or whatever. But I think people really do all go through that journey at some point where they realize, okay, now I've grown this. I'm not going to grow that. Luke Dugan's a really good example of that. This year, I think he's or next year, he doesn't predict any growth within his business, but he predicts, he's going to work more on his bottom line. He's going to work more on his margins and that type of thing, as opposed to growing the business anymore. So I think now more you hear people talking about, well, actually, I don't want to grow my business anymore. So if you ever hear people talking about it, don't think they haven't got ambition or it's not, they're not pushing for growth or anything like that. But it's definitely more about that bottom line and the classic example of working smarter and not harder. And I know it sounds a bit of a cliche, but it's so true.
It's so true. And my calculations on deals are not return on investment. They are time versus pounds and pence profit. When you employ people, you pay them per hour. So therefore, your ROI is absolutely irrelevant, because it's about, you need to make, if you're paying that person, say £10 an hour, then are you going to buy enough product that they can pack, ship, list in an hour that will at least cover their wages and obviously all the other bits that's associated with employing that person?
Yeah.
I'd far rather make £100 on one unit than make £1 on 100 units, because a person cannot process 100 units in 1 hour. It's just the time equation. And that's why we found that higher value products actually make us more money, because I would rather one person process 1 unit in an hour than they did 100 units, work themselves to death and made the same profit, because they're working on literally such tiny margins.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense. I mean, it always goes that, different strokes for different folks. I feel like I'm coming out of all the cliches tonight, but it's so true, because like everybody has different selling strategies. Everyone has different selling models. What works for one person might not work for another person. What sourcing methods might work for one does not work for someone else, all these different types of things. But I think, everybody does definitely go through that period of time with saying, what am I doing? What am I doing here? I need to devise a way to get from A to B in a much more straightforward, kind of way, instead of like diverting and doing things. So, business strategy and refocus and re-strategizing is definitely something, you should do quite often in your business. How often would you say you do it, Matt?
Or strategize?
Yeah. We
have a strategy team meeting every week, every Wednesday. So strategy wise, I need to do more, because I've been a bit busy this past year with all different things. But last year I had a strategy kind of plan every month, and I sit down and a plan, right? What's the goals for the month? I mean, I say this is obviously like a productivity kind of guru, but I'm not as good as I should be from a personal perspective. But ideally, you want to sit down once a month and you want to go through and write, what's my goals for this month? What's my turnover targets? What's my profit targets? Everyone says I want to hit 100k sales in a month, and also break that down as well. So if I've got to hit 100k sales in a month and make 10k profit in a month, what does that look like per day? What does it look like per hour? How much do I have to make per day to make that happen? And we kind of do those kind of things. And of course, we have we have very specific goals. Well, don't create crazy kind of dreamy goals. I want to buy a house on the beach. That's not a goal. I want to buy this house on this location, which is going to cost me this much, is a realistic goal. Don't set kind of like dreamy goals. Like, your goal for you for a month could be, I want to build a website. That isn't a goal. The goal, the strategy goal is, I want to have a website which has this many pages, has this many products listed, and is live by this day. That's a much more tangible goal than I want to build a website, because what does that mean? What does that look like? Do you know what I mean? You've got to be much more tangible in your goals.
Oh, no, absolutely. And if you want a beach house down our way, you probably need about 20 million quid, for sure, considering the part of the world that we live in and the part of the beach world that we live in is like the 4th most expensive place to live in the world or something like that. So it's crazy. So yeah, they're definitely not in our goals. And plus, you just wouldn't do that in Bournemouth, because the beaches just get so packed. Anyway, just gone on
I've been to Bournemouth. It's pretty busy on a sunny day.
Very busy on a sunny day, for sure. Now, we spoke about, that's great points, by the way, Matthew. Thank you. And, Chippo says, great point on profit, productivity per hour. Matthew, right. I'm going to follow up on you with that at some point. I think we'll have a look into that if you've got time, maybe on another Never Mind the Buy Box later in the year, or probably in Q1, where we can look at that in a bit more detail. Because I think, again, I know you've talked about it from, an eBay point of view with the eBay crew and everything like that. But I think from a generalistic point of view,
so important. Yeah. I think it's one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they get into this business, because at the start they're limited by cash, so they have to make their cash work for them. But when you get to a point where cash almost doesn't become an issue, but what does become an issue is time. And like I say, people keep saying, I need more sales. I need more sales. No, you don't need more sales. You need more profit. That's what you're lacking in your business. More sales is not necessarily going to give you more profit.
No, absolutely. That's yes. Very good point. Thank you for that. Adnan says hi. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. Just before we go, because we are approaching the hour, like I was saying, never mind the buy box is like a time vortex. It just goes so quickly in terms of, I blink and before I know it, it's like, not that there's ever a set time limit on the time. Do you know, one day I'm probably going to do never mind the buy box and end up finishing like at 1:45 or 1:30 and everyone will be feel like shortchanged or something. There is no time limit on never mind the buy box, but obviously we all know that you're busy and there's 6 other million lives going on tonight as well. So we don't want to suck up all your evening. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because I want to make a bit of a prediction. I know you were talking about obviously losing a big percentage of your sales due to Brexit at the start of the year, as did everybody that is watching here. Most people did, whether or not you are in the UK or outside of the UK and Europe. Most people were affected, unless you just purely sell in the US or something like that by Brexit. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I kind of broke that we spotted something in the Amazon Seller Central terms of service, sort of talking about new EFN being returned to Amazon in October. I've spoken to someone on the inside of Amazon who has confirmed, which I said last week, who has confirmed it is happening. It's not just going to be like the iOS. It is going to be full EFN. It is going to be goods shipped from the UK to the destination country. There was supposed to be this big webinar relating to it, but it didn't happen. But my sources do tell me that an announcement's coming next week. So
interesting.
We're going to have to wait and
see.
That's all
I'm not pretending to be. I'm not pretending to be an expert on Europe because I'm not, but I have done a lot of research on Europe, and the only feasible way I can see that working is if Amazon is buying your product and then reselling them to customers in Europe. I'm struggling to see, unless they've pulled something out of the bag from a compliance point of view. I don't know how on earth they're going to pull that one off.
Yeah, I mean,
or have they started bribing the EU and saying this we're too big and this is too important, so sort it out, kind of thing.
I don't know. I mean, I'm in the same boat as you, as in I do not receive. Oh, Callum said, I believe we've received EFN emails today. I've not seen them as yet, so that's all. That will be interesting. But yeah, could someone post it? Could we have a look and see what it was?
If you copy and paste it in, yeah.
I'm just checking my email. Just see if there's anything that's coming up. Callum, what have they said? What have they said? Is it because the other thing we were not really sure of is whether or not it was going to be some sort of beta system to start with, which I know that was possibly going to be a reality, because when Amazon pulls something like they pulled the announcement of the webinar, that did indicate to me that it might be some sort of beta. I know people were talking about that you would only qualify if you were pan-European, but you're pan-European registered, aren't you, Matthew? And you've not received anything.
No, I've quite excited to another announcement. I've been really busy. We finally got a customs clearer sorted, so we're going to be sending our first European shipment into Europe. So for anyone who knows, I've been pan-European. I was big in Europe last year. We did about €500,000 last year in sales. Obviously, that's literally stopped. We've only been drip selling what's already in there, and it's like we've gone from doing sort of 50,000-60,000 euros a month to like €500 a month. Finally got a customs clearance sorted, so we're going to hopefully send our first shipment back into Europe this week.
I hope, fingers crossed, that then next week it gets announced EFN. You're like, what did we do all that work for? But no, I mean, EFN is different from pan-European anyway, so obviously
I think you're gonna. Part of it as well is the. So I was replying to Sean's comment. He asked me about how many minimum pricing points. So yeah, I think the pan-European, we've got big advantage for us because we can sell in euros. I don't think you sold in euros, did you? You sold in pounds and they converted it for you. Is that correct? With EFN, yeah. So pan we sell in euros because we buy in euros. So that's a big advantage for us.
Yeah, you sell in euros and then you convert it back to pounds. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're
yeah,
we're holding all our currency in euros, and of course you get local shipping rates, which makes a big difference on your profitability because you can send stuff in bulk and then you're paying essentially local rates.
Mm-hmm. If you can find a way through to show people how to sell in Europe again, if EFN 2.0, as I'm calling it, no one else is calling it that, it's just me, because it makes sense to call it that. It's a new version allegedly of EFN. So if EFN 2.0 doesn't turn out, because we did get let down with Amazon, not with eBay, essentially, because obviously it works a lot better, the iOS system with eBay than it does with Amazon. We all got ourselves worked up and excited about iOS, thinking, wow, this is our opportunity. This is our window to start selling into Europe again. And it turned out to be a big fat nothing because it's just not plausible.
It literally was, yeah. Especially if you are not VAT registered, it's a 100% non-starter because you're paying VAT on all your sales. Mm-hmm. And I think the bigger issue isn't actually the system; it's the limit. The €150 limit is a big issue because you can't. A lot of your orders you want over 150, you can't get your multi-buy products. It's a big issue for me, the €150 limit. But there we go.
We shall have to wait and see what they pull out the bag. Doesn't sound like we'll have to wait much longer. Callum says that there's been a few people that have received the emails. Didn't get one himself, but seen a few people comment that he had one. I've checked mine. I don't get it with Amazon, why they don't just, kind of announce things, but it's Amazon at the end of the day, isn't it? So we shall wait and see. Like I said, I did hear that next week was going to be the announcement time that they were going to do it, but obviously if it comes this week and we can find out a little bit more, then it's something we can discuss next week on Never Mind the Buy Box, and I'm sure it will be a big topic of conversation within the groups. But come on, Amazon, pull something out of the bag that we've not thought of, because do you know what, if people can claw back, because I think people have persevered phenomenally well. UK sellers that lost, 30% was probably the average for what most people were selling in Europe. And I think everybody's done phenomenally well, to grow their businesses, let alone maintain their businesses. People have grown their businesses this year for various different reasons. And if we can claw back, some of that percentage from Europe, I think it's just going to be a phenomenal, sort of foundation for people for their businesses next year for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've managed to kind of stay static even with the upturn on the UK. I think with COVID and everything, we've kind of stayed static on Amazon in terms of without Europe now. So we've not really dropped. We're like, if you look at the UK sales, we're up like 35%, but all that is just doing is kind of covering what we've lost through Europe. So we're pretty static in the Amazon side, but it will be, hopefully we can get back on the European. It'll be good. Get some good revenue, because as well, it's like how much, I don't know, it's about 300 million people live in Europe. So you're marketing your goods to, because with the pan, you only need to send to one country and they'll send it to anywhere in Europe. So you've basically like quadrupled your customer base instantly.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And then with the lack of competition as well that already exists, because of Brexit and having to pull out of the EFN system, because nobody's selling in Europe at the moment, unless you're PAN registered and unless you're really selling, individual kind of private label products. That sort of has continued. But even then, that's been disrupted. It's easier than, being reseller because all the different documentation and red tape that's surrounding what you need for proof in order to get those products into Europe, which is everything that you needed, to get into the UK 12 months ago kind of thing. So what I will say, though, is if we do get some news this week and it is good news, if it is something that does look like it's really plausible, I'll jump on a live and, talk through all the details, because Amazon, sometimes they can release very broad statements that no one really knows what it's talking about. And you kind of have to be an Amazon nonsense expert in jargon to work out what they're actually saying. So if we do get something before Never Mind the Bible next week, that I will jump on a live, see if we can dissect it as much as possible and find out a little bit more about it. Because like I said, unless it's a big fat nothing, then I won't waste my time.
I don't know, because the iOS is Callum says he's dropped you the email. It's invite only, apparently.
There we
invite
go.
Only. Just another thing. Can I jump in on the European thing? If anybody is pan-European, Amazon's actually running a promotion at the moment where they're giving you £2,300, or is it euros? £2,300 or euros? I can't remember. Of credits towards shipping goods into Europe. So if you are actually, you've got the VAT registrations in place and you're thinking it's too expensive, Amazon's really going to cover your kind of like first 20 odd shipments into Europe. So it might be worth it just to take the credits. I don't know.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Callum. Thank you for sending that to me. I'll have a look at it and, sort of give my thoughts on that. So yeah, you're right. Invite only. That's kind of taken me by surprise. I didn't know. I can see already, hopefully Callum doesn't mind me saying they're talking, it's November now. So it was very much.
Have they said how they're going to do it? Is there any kind of like indication?
It's just the invite there. So doesn't look like it's something that's, Callum sending me the details. I'll have a look at it, see what we can find. But yeah, do you know what? That's interesting because it wasn't invite only and now they've made it invite only, which means they want to test the water. So it is beta.
Yeah.
It's a beta test. That's what it is, which is one of the things I wasn't expecting, actually. I know a few people talked about beta and I kind of shot them down and said, no, I don't think it will be beta. I definitely didn't think it would be for pan only because they are calling it the European Fulfillment Network. But this is very unusual for Amazon. This is really unusual to put something out publicly, then claw it back and then say, no, we're going to do this kind of beta. So it does look like it's going to be invite only. Well, it is invite only. It looks like beta. So how long they'll run the beta for? When they did the minimum order quantity beta, that didn't last very long. That only lasted about a month, something like that, before they publicly released it. So I suspect, putting myself out there again, I suspect that this is something that it won't be in beta for very long, but they don't want to overwhelm. So what I actually do think this is to do with, now it's settled in my head for a couple of minutes, is I think they've done this because of the shortage of drivers, the supply chain issues. That's why I think they've put it into beta. Not necessarily because of the infrastructure, which I thought they want to test that first of all. But thinking about it, they already have the infrastructure in place. It's just a few tweaks that needed to be, to be made. I think they've done this to because of the drivers not having that much extra supply chain to be able to send it in, and then they'll slowly, a bit like, do you remember when they first introduced the Dangerous Good program? They slowly integrated and grandfathered people in. So I think it could be something possibly similar to that, but we just have to wait and see. I'm quite good at multitasking, so I have managed to read it, and it looks like it's proper EFN to me. I still don't know how, but yeah.
So they're not storing goods in Europe. They're shipping them direct to customers. Is that right? And then who's paying the VAT on that then, and the import duty? Or is Amazon just? Is this one of those things though where Amazon is going to just do it for you? And yes, it will boost your sales, but is your, like the iOS system? Yes, it works. It's done automatically, but also they'll just take the VAT. They'll just take the duty off. Is that how it's potentially going to work? And they're going to kind of do all the paperwork for you, but they will potentially start taking all the European VAT and European duty and all that kind of stuff. I don't know.
What I can see, and I really hope Callum hasn't sent this to me confidentially. I'm not going to read it out word for word or anything like that. So I'll wait for Callum to confirm. But it very much looks like it is a case of adjusting prices yourself, which is the infrastructure they didn't have in place for iOS. So I feel it is something. It looks like it's involving build international listings, which obviously was completely disabled after Brexit. So like I said, the infrastructure is already there. So it looks like it's returning to what it was, and you will just need to do that uplift in pricing to take into account the additional VAT, and also, to adjust for conversion rates for foreign exchange for the euro. So it looks like it is. And they're saying relaunch of European fulfillment network. So I can't imagine if it was too different from what it was.
They'd have called it something different, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would have called it something else.
Yeah.
Relaunch very much indicates to me that it's exactly the same.
Well, that'll be exciting if they've managed to make it work. Sorry, I sound really negative. I should be more excited, but as somebody who's been studying this for so long, I'm really confused how they're going to make it work. Now, I guess I can see ways that they can work, but it kind of either involves a lot of Amazon kind of taking it all the hit for you. I don't know. It'd be amazing if it can work. If Amazon's just going to just do it all for you and pay the VAT over to the relevant tax authority and pay the duty over and clear the goods. I mean, that I had a sneaky suspicion when they started asking for all these country of origins on your listings. This is part of it, because that is one of the customs requirements. So a little bit of a plea here, because I've seen a few people in the groups. If you have, got listings and you've not put the correct country of origin on, this could massively impact the EFN. So I would urge you to make sure you check country of origins are correct, because I think a few people said, "Oh, I'm so sick of doing this. I've just put a random country down." Well, yeah, you might end up getting a duty tariff of 50% because the import's banned from that country. So, yeah, just be careful what you're putting down in them boxes.
Yeah, and
if it's going to be that could be what it's for.
Amazon, very much, if that's going to mess with Amazon's supply chains, with upset customers, impact on the customer, which it potentially could, that could become a suspensionable metric.
I would say so. It's also illegal, plain and simple, to misdeclare them kind of things. I don't know what Amazon's kind of stance is on that, and but if Amazon's taking the legal responsibility on your behalf by AFN, then they're going to come down you like a ton of bricks, because they're not going to be carrying the can for your mistake.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Callum. I really appreciate it, and hopefully I didn't reveal too much when it was sent through to me. So thank you for that. But it does look good. It does look exciting. You heard it here first. Thanks to Callum. This is Callum's exclusive. That I got it completely wrong. It's not being announced next week, and it's not coming until November. So there we go.
But no, if they've got it to work, then that'll be amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah.
I love the fact you're still hanging. You're still like, if we're waiting.
I don't know. I just I think I just don't want it to be another iOS, because I feel there was so much hype around that. Oh, back into Europe, and then it literally it's completely useless. That's unfair, but for the majority of sellers, it doesn't really uplift the business. Certainly on Amazon, eBay, you can make it work by adjusting your prices, but on the Amazon side, it's just a non-starter for most people, to be honest.
But when this goes live, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to get caught out financially. So rest assured, guys, we will have you covered as soon as this starts to be publicly rolled out, making sure we'll do posts, we'll do videos, we'll cover it, and never mind the buy box, because I can see a lot of people, getting caught out, especially if they haven't. I think you're going to have to re-enable build international listings, because most people physically turn that off at the start of the year. So hopefully you won't just get caught out like that, unless it looks like it's an enrollment process anyway as well. So we shall wait and see. But something exciting to look forward to, and especially
isn't it such a shame as well that if they just sorted the Brexit deal out like a year in advance, this could have all been in place and there could have been a seamless transition, rather than leaving it till the 7th, the 24th of December, and it's like, oh, you've got 3 days to get yourself sorted out.
Oh yeah, I do agree with that to a certain extent, but I think obviously no one was expecting the pandemic, to happen as well. But at the end of the day, we did stop talking about Brexit I mean, most people in 2019 kind of, 2020, forgot that Brexit had even happened because obviously COVID had taken over so much. But it's all good for the future, definitely, for sure. It feels like things hopefully are returning back from a positive point of view, but we will wait and see once the details come out, for sure. Nick said what Matthew was saying is set SMART goals, that acronym. Do you know what, it's the first ever sales training I did 20 odd years ago, more than 20 years ago. That's all I'm going to say. They used the SMART acronym at that stage, and it's still just as relevant today. And I know some people who think, oh, okay, well, yeah, that's quite old fashioned. Well, do you know what? It still works, and it's still the most relevant, I think, acronym to setting those goals, is making sure that they are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed. I think that's it.
Something like that. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think that's really close. But we generally always cover goals quite in depth going towards the end of the year, so we make sure that we get those covered. Well, that's it for tonight, folks. Again, special thanks to Callum for sending us through those details.
We didn't do that much Q4 this chat, did we? We talked about everything else.
Well, do you know what? Q4 is a long 3 months, so
Q4 is going to be amazing. That's all you need to know. Get your stock sorted. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just take away what Matthew has dropped a lot of gold nuggets tonight, especially with, self-fulfillment, working things out based on monetary profits and productivity and things like that, for sure. So thank you, Matthew. We appreciate you. And every time you come on, there's always loads of really valuable information, for sure.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me.
No, it's always a pleasure. So we will see you next week, guys. Well, I will see you next week.
Probably busy. Maybe depends if I get invited again.
Yeah, you're always invited. We'll definitely have Matthew back on before the end of Q4, because you're such a valuable guest, and like I said, you always offer a wealth of knowledge, which we do really appreciate. Lots of lovely comments coming in, so thanks for joining us, Matthew. I will see everyone next week, same time, 7:00. These sessions, never mind the buy box, are getting busier and busier every week, which means they tend to go down in the summer. Everyone's been like, oh, what's she banging on about? And then as soon as we head into Q4, everyone's like back on track and they're on it, which I absolutely love, because it builds a great environment, especially for going into Q4. So on this bombshell, I will say, next time I speak to you guys, it'll be Q4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Christmas is coming.
Christmas is definitely coming. So on that bombshell,
should we change the backdrop to have like a Santa's hat on it?
No, not yet. We only do that once a year. That's our Christmas episode. We only do that once a year. Yeah, that's all we do.
We need a special Q4 banner then, don't we?
Oh, for sure. We might change it to keep me happy. Add some little Christmas light, things like that. I might get myself a tree actually in here.
Yes.
I just thought of that.
This year, I'll be honest, normally I'm like 1st of December is the absolute earliest you can put a tree up. But this year, I feel like, let's just get on with it. Let's get the tree up. Let's get the decorations up.
Soon as Halloween's gone, that's it. I've already got one. I'm not going to lie. I've already got one Christmas tree up.
Really?
It's not proper. Yeah, it's not a proper one. It's like one of those like twiggy ones. So I bought it last week and I took it out of the box to try it to see if it worked. And I said to Matt, well, there's no point. And I said,
put it back in the box.
There's no point in putting it back in the box. And I said, I'll just put some little Halloween decorations on it, some cobwebs or something like that. And then I'll change it for Christmas. Anyway, sorry, diversion again. But yes, we will do some Christmas related stuff for sure. But thanks everyone for attending. I really appreciate it. It's always so much fun when, much more fun when there's a lot of people commenting and, asking questions. So we do really appreciate that. third time of saying, I'll see you next week. Have a great week, everyone. Take care.
Bye.